Happy Monday. I hope you're having a great day. And this is my follow-up video for recommendations for After Half Sick of Shadows. So, by Lord Sebastian, I really hope you have watched the review. If not, check it out. And without further ado, let us begin with the recommendations. Let's see. Okay, so the first thing I would love for you to read is definitely her first series, Ash Princess. Ash Princess follows Theodosia, who has been an imprisoned princess for like 10 years, and she basically, after the Kaiser makes her commit a specific event, he basically forces her to do this. She decides that she is done, and she ends up trying to, along with the help of friends, trying to figure out how to get her country back. And we watch her in this journey. It's very interesting. I really like it. It's lovely. The next 3 things I want to recommend are actually from the same author, and those are the Camelot Rising trilogy, the Andy Darken trilogy, and the Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kiersten White. Camelot Rising is basically a retelling of Arthurian legends where we follow Guinevere, except that she isn't Guinevere, the one that we know to go just to marry Arthur and be queen and for an alliance and so on and so forth. But she is basically a changeling, and she is meant to protect Arthur. But in order to do that, she does have to lie, and she has to she basically has to keep that deception going. And the question that is asked here is, how long can she keep it? Not to mention in Camelot, where she is basically where the laws pretty much chain her, which is it's interesting. I love it. Andy Darken follows Lotta as she she is the daughter of the Prince of Valahia, and she ends up with her brother in the Ottoman Empire court after certain events, and we kind of follow her journey and her relationships, which I think are very interesting throughout the series. The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein is a retelling of Frankenstein through Elizabeth Frankenstein, as she ends up trying to figure out where Victor went because he had disappeared, and from there we figure out a lot of things. We see a lot of things happening. I don't know how else to describe it, honestly. The next one is Cinderella is Dead by Kailyn Bayron. This is a retelling of Cinderella taking place 200 years after the original story. And in this case, Cinderella is dead by then, but women are basically given this role, or this or are told to be like her. And our 16-year-old character that we follow does not, I don't remember her name, by the way. I haven't read it, I think, in a year or two. Our 16-year-old character that we follow does not want to go to the ball like Cinderella and find a husband, or basically be chosen by a husband, because that is how it works. They are chosen by someone, and they have to marry that person. But she doesn't want to do that, and instead she'd rather basically date her childhood best friend, which happens to be someone who does end up conforming to society, of course, but she would rather do that. And due to at some point during that night, she does end up fleeing after certain events, and she ends up in Cinderella's mausoleum and meets Constance, a descendant of Cinderella, but finds out that things in the Cinderella story are not as they seem. This is a bit of a darker tone to Cinderella, and it's interesting to read. Speaking of fairy tales, my next Actually, now that I think about it, another recommendation I can give you right now before I do my next recommendation that I have written down is Ella Enchanted by Gail, Carson, Levine. It is a retelling of Cinderella, but way better than a retelling of Cinderella because it's more it's actually more developed. But basically, we follow Ella of Frel, who is cursed by a fairy, to be obedient for her entire life, basically, because she thought in the fairy thinks it's a great gift because she'd be obedient and she'd be an obedient child. However, it ends up messing up her life in more ways than one, and she ends up going on a quest to try to figure out how to break her curse. But in there are a lot of things happen. It's great. It's just great, guys. It's a great thing. The next thing I want to recommend, speaking of fairy tales, is Once Upon a Con by Ashley Poston. This is a series. It's the Once Upon a Con series, and it basically follows these mainly so far, unless she writes more, but I'm not sure if she will. But basically, it's basically fandom meets fairy tale. That's the way I describe it. Fandom meets fairy tale. We get a retelling of Cinderella in Geekerella. We get a retelling of The Prince and the Pauper in The Princess and the Fangirl. And we get a retelling of Beauty and the Beast in Bookish and the Beast. Yeah, it's not... It's like, when you read it now, and you read the titles, it's like, it seems obvious, but you know what? It's fine. It's totally fine. The next two books I want to recommend are actually by the same author, and they are basically, I'm going to explain them in one way, but yeah, anyway, they're The Song of Achilles and Circe by Madeleine Miller. I want to just quick disclaimer and say that I did not like Circe. I gave it 1 star. I actually did not like the book at all. And yet, I loved The Song of Achilles, and I'm pretty sure I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. So, there's that for you. But basically, these books are basically the retelling of Achilles and Circe's stories from Greek mythology. And The Song of Achilles is told in Patroclus' point of view, and Circe is told in her point of view. And I thought these concepts, I thought that the concepts were awesome. I just didn't like Circe for one reason or another. I got bored with Circe, and I didn't like it at all. But I did enjoy The Song of Achilles a lot, and Patroclus' point of view was awesome. And I actually want to see if she has other books, because I would want to read other Greek mythology-based books that she may have written. But yeah, the next series is The Glittering Court by Rochelle Mead. And we basically follow 3 different stories. It's basically kind of the same story, but each of these 3 girls plays a different part in each story, and we follow these different stories in where The Glittering Court is basically like a business venture where they take impoverished girls that seem to be destined for like high society marriages and stuff like that, and basically what happens is they are taken by this court, and they're taught how to be act like ladies of high class and stuff like that. But for these girls, it's a little bit different. It's very interesting. The next book series is actually ongoing, but it is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen, and we follow Laura, who basically only has one thought for her husband and her wedding night: I will bring you and your kingdom to its knees, like to their knees. And she is the princess of, or one of the princesses, because they're basically one of the members of the royal family, because there are many members of the royal family in this book when it comes to this kingdom of Maradrina. And she is, one of its princesses, and she along with 15 of her sisters were trained since birth to be assassins, and in order to in order to basically, what is it? What was I gonna say? Basically kill the king of Ithaca and basically take over the kingdom of Ithaca, because supposedly her people, are hungry. So she's mainly doing it for her people. And because of this, we find out she ends up marrying him, and her plan is to seduce him and do all that stuff. And however, being there, she ends up learning that things aren't as they seem to be, or as she was told. So for the rest, for series, I actually recommend, I recommend Ouran High School Host Club and Fruits Basket. Ouran High School Host Club follows Haruhi when she stumbles into an abandoned music room looking for a quiet place to study, meets the host club of the academy, which and accidentally breaks a vase that costs 8 million yen, which she now has to pay for, and she ends up having to work for them in their club. However, we end up watching her journey in their journey as they make such beautiful friendships. Like, nothing can be said except that they make such beautiful friendships. It's so beautiful. I don't know how else to describe it. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful friendship, and nothing can, like, I just love it so much. And then Fruits Basket follows Toru as she moves into the Soma family home, but ends up discovering that they are cursed to transform into into one of the animals of the Chinese zodiac signs, of the Chinese zodiac animals, when they are hugged by the opposite sex. And we watch as she changes, as everyone around her changes. It's a good time, guys. It's a great time. And with that, those are all my recommendations. I hope you guys enjoyed these recommendations. I hope you guys liked them. Let me know your thoughts. Any other recommendations as well in the comments. Also, let me know. And yeah, with that, I end this video. So check out my description for links. Like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on social media. And let me know of any requests, either in the comments or privately. For privately, just check the description and you'll let me know. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!